Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NEWSWAVE, written, produced and recorded in the heart of Cornwall by the team here at Chaos Radio. You should know by now, but I'm your host, Tom Howe, and I'll be guiding you through some of the insightful guests and exciting news content that we've enjoyed across Chaos Radio this past week. Now on today's show, we join TV personality Julia Bradbury, rather a familiar and friendly face to us here in Cornwall, as she lends her support to a campaign with MSD Animal Health and StreetVet, designed to tackle homelessness barriers for pet owners in the region. As well as that, with World Cancer Day falling on Tuesday, the 4th of February, we check in with Matthew Jeffery, a local runner on a mission to complete the world's 6 biggest marathons and raise £100,000 for cancer charities following his own thyroid cancer diagnosis. We also take a trip to Macmillan Cancer Support to hear from Leanne Thomas about how their incredible team are there to help at every stage of the journey. If all that wasn't enough, we hear from Debbie Peters, a bowel cancer screening nurse at Royal Cornwall Hospital, to highlight the life-saving importance of early screening, and that's part of an ongoing campaign from NHS Cornwall and Isles of Scilly that's dedicated to helping you stay well this winter.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, broadcaster Julia Bradbury has teamed up with MSD Animal Health and StreetVet to support a new initiative helping homeless pet owners find shelter. And it might shock you to hear that only 10% of hostels currently accept people with pets. Now, this partnership provides free year-round flea and tick protection for pets of those experiencing homelessness, reducing rejection rates and ensuring people don't have to choose between shelter and their beloved animals. We'll hear from Julia in a moment, but first from Zoe Abbots, Chief Executive Officer at StreetVet, and from StreetVet volunteer Jane.
NEWSWAVE.
So here today is our StreetVet True Outreach. We have an outreach every month if we can organise it, where all of our clients and patients come to see us and we do clinical health checks, flea and worm, monitor lumps and bumps, ears, vaccinations.
Yeah, so today we are offering a 12-month preventative flea and tick treatment, which is fairly new to the market, but it just means that you can guarantee that one injection and then they're covered for 12 months. So traditionally it's either a tablet or a spot-on, which is obviously very good, but obviously for some of our clients it's not always easy to get back every month, so it's great then we've got the peace of mind then that they're going to be covered for 12 months. So yeah, it's very useful.
What are the outcomes that you're trying to achieve from events like this, and how many people might you be seeing?
Here in Truro we have around 10 clients come to see us with their animals. The outcome is to have healthy, happy pets who are belonging to those people experiencing homelessness. So it's a very difficult situation that they find themselves in, so we're doing as much as we can to alleviate some discomfort by being here to look after their best friends.
Absolutely. And what conversations are you having with pet owners as well?
So obviously you build up quite a bond with the clients. They come back very regularly, so you're actually part of their sort of everyday life as well. So you obviously chat about their circumstances. So it's a nice opportunity to see how they're getting on as well as their animals. And obviously they trust us, so they know that we can do everything for them, and if it's something we can't do today, we can signpost them to a nearest vet, so if they need a checkup. But yeah, it's just a nice little, they know us quite well, and a lot of them just like to come and see us and have treats and stick their head in a red bag, and most of the times it's quite a pleasant experience for them, and obviously doing our bit to help them if we can.
Brilliant. For those that aren't aware then or need a bit of a refresher, can you just sort of introduce us to StreetVet and the work that you do?
So we are a charity that provide free essential veterinary care to pets belonging to those experiencing homelessness. We are nationwide. We're in 24 locations around the UK. We've got 6 of them in Cornwall. And if people are eligible, we do an eligibility check first, and we then work with our clients to make sure their pet is as healthy as possible in the situation they find themselves in. So sometimes if there's any treatment that we can't do here on the street, then we work with local practices to get lumps and bumps removed, dentals, X-rays,
neutering as well. Yeah, we can help with neutering. So obviously, that can be certainly obviously not ideal. We don't want any sort of unwanted pregnancy, so we can definitely help with neutering for the pets.
It must be rewarding for you guys as well to see so much value and impact in what you're doing.
It really is. When a client perhaps first comes to see us, you can see they're a bit nervous of what are StreetVet going to do? Are they going to take away my pet? And that's absolutely not what we're here to do. We're here to support them as best we can, and we also have an emergency phone number that they can call if there's any emergencies. 24/7, and it's lovely to see that over the weeks, isn't it, that how they build their trust with us, and
we build a relationship with them, and they trust us, and the animals, they trust us as well, and they know that we're here to help as well, not to judge. So, yeah.
Perfect. And what do you mean by pets? Is that any kind of pet, or is it specifically dogs like today?
Companion animals, so dogs, cats, small furries. We've got the odd reptile and the odd bird on our books, but predominantly we're dogs. And occasionally we have a cat down here to true our outreach, but usually I would say 95% dogs, 4% cats, and then the rest fall into a different category.
How can people support you and help roll this out to more communities?
Go to our website, have a look and see what we do. We're always accepting more and more clinical volunteers, so vets and vet nurses. If there's anybody out there who'd like to volunteer with us, please get in touch. But also members of the public, if they have a skill or enthusiasm, then please contact us and we can look into some volunteering. We're funded by public donations and grant funding, so we apply for lots of grants, but it's harder and harder over the recent time, so we really rely on public donations, so even a couple of pounds a month would be really, really appreciated.
NewsWave.
Our thanks to Zoe Abbott's Chief Executive Officer at StreetVet, and from her volunteer Jane. Over to Julia Bradbury, who, without wanting to get all Troy McClure about it, you may well remember from TV shows such as Watchdog and Country File.
NewsWave.
I'm Julia Bradbury. I'm a television presenter and an author, and people might know me from programmes like Country File and Watchdog and my walking series. But I'm here in Cornwall today because there's a fantastic initiative between StreetVet and a company called MSD Animal Health. And they've basically collaborated to provide tea and flea prevention for a year for animals. And they're supplying this service free for people that are experiencing homelessness. And actually, that's a really big deal because there are 3,800 people who are homeless here in Cornwall, and some of them have got animals who are beloved companions, and they're not allowed into hostels because only 10% of hostels will let you in if you've got an animal. So this is a really important service because if your animal hasn't got fleas and hasn't got ticks, then you've got a bigger chance of the hostel letting you in. So really there are no words to describe how important this is. I mean, I've had a tiny experience of homelessness. It's something I've covered over many years while I've been working. I did a programme about it, and I slept up just for 6 nights. I'm not saying I know what it's like to be homeless, but I know how frightening and how lonely and how cold and how desolate it can get when you are living on the streets, or even if you're just sofa surfing. You lose all of your security. And I think that having a pet, having a dog or a companion, must just be so valuable and such a source of comfort and love and joy. And we really shouldn't be trying to separate the people from their beloveds.
It's so important. We've seen so many people here today come and take advantage of the services that are being offered. I saw you having a conversation with some of the participants as well. What might you have been talking about?
So I was talking to one of the ladies I spoke to is called Jojo, and I think she told me that she's been experiencing homelessness. She's been in and off the streets for about 13 14 years now. She was offered a place actually a year ago. She was offered permanent accommodation. She has 2 dogs who she's deeply attached to, who have helped her through thick and thin. They're sort of like a warning signal for her. As a female on the streets, you're even more at risk and dangerous. Not to say you're not as a male as well, but, you're obviously especially vulnerable as a woman. And, her dogs have been this alarm signal. She loves them. They love her. They care for each other. She turned down permanent accommodation because they said that the dogs couldn't live with her. For her, she couldn't be separated from them. It was a decision that was too hard to make. And I know people listening to this will go, that is insane. And of course, if you're going to have a permanent place, you must be able to accept it. But these have been her anchors for all these years. So it wasn't easy for her to make that decision. And that's where she ended up, back on the streets.
It just shows the incredible impact of public donations and goodwill of people, charities doing things like this today, making such a huge impact to so many people.
Yeah, I mean, we are very, very good in the UK with our charities. We have such incredible founders of many charities, and the charities are so driven, and we're doing a lot of good work. And the founders of StreetVet, it all came about because there were a couple of people, they were working in the City of London, and they came across some people who were experiencing homelessness who had pets, and they realised this made their homeless experience even more tragic and difficult.
NewsWave.
As well as Watchdog and Countryfile, Julia is also known for her walking shows across Cornwall, and we couldn't let her go without asking for her thoughts of the place.
NewsWave.
Look, I love Cornwall. I've made a walk series here, and I think people know and love Cornwall and Devon because they're beautiful and they're picturesque, and beaches, and there are lovely hotels and there are nice restaurants. There are also thousands and thousands and thousands of people experiencing homelessness, and that's not just people living on the streets. That's people who are sofa surfing. That's people who are relying on hostels. That's people who this could be their first week of experiencing homelessness. It's a massive problem all across the country, and it's really highlighted and pinpointed in this area. Please help however you can, and if this sounds like a charity that you could get involved with or donate to, then search it up, StreetVet, and do your bit.
NewsWave.
Our thanks to TV personality Julia Bradbury, as well as to Zoe and Jane as well. To learn more about the work being done by StreetVet and their partners, and how it might be that you can support them, head on over to streetvet.co.uk. Okay, Tuesday the 4th of February was World Cancer Day, and Chaos Radio were busy collecting some incredible stories of hope and support from in and around our local communities. I just want to start by saying that the following interviews do include some sensitive topics, which some listeners may well find upsetting. Please do take care while listening and seek support if needed, details of which we'll include at the end.
NewsWave.
In July 2020, Matt Jeffery's life changed forever. A keen runner training to become a police officer, Matthew was then diagnosed with thyroid cancer, completely altering the path ahead of him. But rather than letting it define him, Matt turned his battle into a mission, using his love of running to raise awareness and vital funds for cancer charities. Now he's taking on the ultimate challenge, completing the world's 6 biggest marathons in London, Berlin, Tokyo, Chicago, New York and Boston, while aiming to raise £100,000 for good causes. Along the way, he's also been recognised for his incredible efforts, winning the Drake Circus Christmas Community Hero Award, amongst other accolades. And I'm delighted to say he joins us here on Chaos Radio this World Cancer Day. Can you just take us back to July 2020, when you first noticed something was wrong, and what it was that led to your diagnosis, please?
So I think the first noticeable thing is my resting heart rate seemed to jump up quite considerably. Just recovering from my workouts and my runs, I was constantly feeling quite tired all the time, just having lots of daytime naps. And I just felt like something wasn't quite right, really, but I didn't know what at that stage. So, a few trips to the doctors, and at first they were not really concerned too much. They thought I was overtraining, so adjusted all of that. But it went on for quite a few months, really, without really knowing what was going on. Blood tests and whatnot all come back fine. So it was a bit of a mystery, really.
Your diagnosis must have come as a complete shock. I think it would be really interesting for any of our listeners, perhaps going through a similar thing, to understand how you process the news and what those early months were like for you.
When I was first poorly and I didn't really know what was wrong, the last thing I ever thought was I was going to be diagnosed with cancer. I just thought it would, be a bug or whatever, or maybe overtraining. But it wasn't until probably a few months after I started feeling those symptoms that I discovered a small little lump in the side of my neck. And that's when I went and got it all checked out. And at first they thought it was like a cyst potentially. And because it was quite high up in my neck, they thought it might have been pressing into maybe the artery, which could have potentially sped up the blood flow, which would have increased the heart rate. So that was kind of what we were going with to begin with. So obviously when I went to the hospital and had the ultrasound, and then they were like, right, not a cyst, you've got multiple cancerous tumours in your neck. It was a shock. My first words afterwards, I laughed and said, can't be, because I've got the London Marathon coming up, so I can't be cancer. What are you on about? Because that was the short-term plan. And I think she said, oh yeah, you won't be doing that anytime soon. So yeah, it was initially it was kind of unbelievable, really. It's really hard to go back to that time, because it almost feels like when I think about that, I don't see it from my own point of view. I almost look at it, if that makes sense. I think I was just in total shock, really. But yeah, the days and weeks after that, which was the lead up to actually seeing the consultant who said, yeah, you're going to be fine. No, you're not. Because I kind of left the hospital with not much idea what was going on, apart from I had cancer, and that it was really bad because I had multiple tumours in my neck, and they were it was all very negative. It wasn't the greatest way to find out, to be honest. But yeah, that couple of weeks were excruciating, really. Didn't sleep much. Just tried to keep busy, really. But equally, just very, very challenging.
You were already a keen runner before your diagnosis. What was it that inspired you to take on this challenge of completing the 6 world majors?
Yeah, so I think if you're really into running, the marathons, I think they're always the highlights of the year. They're quite well advertised and whatnot. I think it was always a bit of a distant dream, really. I thought one day I would run London, just because obviously living in the UK, it's the biggest marathon in the world. It's one of the best, they say. And I think that was kind of always the dream, just to run London. But to do the world majors, it was always a dream, but it was a dream I never thought would be reality, just because of the scale of it. And obviously the distance between them all, it's quite the challenge to get those ones all done. So yeah, so it was just one of those things I would have loved to have done, but I never thought I'd have the chance to do it, really.
Running a marathon is tough enough without a cancer diagnosis. How did you have to adapt your training and mindset to keep pushing on?
Throughout my whole running career as such, I'd never really taken too many days off. I used to run 5-6 days a week, quite high mileage. Obviously, after my diagnosis, mentally, I kind of dropped off the ball a little bit, just because all my goals, obviously, I thought were irrelevant now. It was like I won't be able to do them. So it was kind of just running for the enjoyment of things, which was actually quite nice, to be fair, because there was a lot less pressure on actually going out and having to put in the hard work. When I had my surgery and then all my treatments, I had to slow down quite a lot because it was quite demanding on the body. It took a big toll on me. So yeah, so again, it was kind of just having that realistic understanding of what I'd been through, and just slowing down and reducing the mileage and just focusing on actually getting better, whilst using running more so as an aid for mental health rather than physical health, because I think that was the main beneficiary early doors. But yeah, I say it was just really just slowing down and truly listening to my body and resting when I needed it, which is something I've never been very good at, to be honest.
It's so interesting. Talking about slowing down, you've already done 4 of these marathons, haven't you, I think? How have you gone so far, and what's next on your list? Yeah,
so Berlin was my first one. That was the first big race that I'd ever done. And then I did London only a week later, to be fair, on that one. And then over the last couple of years, I've managed to do London 2 further times. So I've done London 3 times now. And it's just incredible. The atmosphere, the amount of people, the organisation is just brilliant, really. And then in 2023, I did Chicago and then New York. Chicago was a bit of a difficult one because 6 months before I was due to run that one, I got diagnosed for the second time. So I had to have some treatment in the June, and then the race was in September. So not much of a turnaround there, but managed to get some good training in and just finish it really. So yeah, so then I went on to New York, which was like running through a movie set really, just absolutely incredible. Of all the ones I wanted to do, New York was definitely at the top of the list, I think, because it was just fantastic. So yeah, so what's left is Tokyo and Boston. I'm actually going to Tokyo in just over 2 weeks. So wow. That one's on the 2nd or 3rd of March. So I'll be doing that one. So that will be 5 down and then 1 to go. So yeah, just Boston left. Boston's a bit of a difficult one though, because you have to qualify to get into Boston Marathon. So the qualifying time at the moment for my age is 2 hours 55. So that's quite quick. So I'll be looking to qualify for that at the end of the year in Valencia. So as long as I get the qualifying time, hopefully I'll be doing Boston in a couple of years' time. And then that will be the journey wrapped up.
Aside from fundraising, a big part of your mission is raising awareness of thyroid cancer symptoms. What signs should people look out for, and why is it important to check your neck?
Yeah, I say the signs are just if you feel anything's wrong, just go get checked out, because you just never know, as I was subject to, you know. But throughout all my years, and I got diagnosed at 28 years old, I'd heard, you know, there was posters everywhere for like men to check their testicles and women to like check their boobs and whatnot. However, I never saw or heard anything about check your neck or anything like that at all. And the scary thing is, now I look back at photos of me just a few weeks and months prior to my diagnosis, like I kind of see a shadowing on my neck. And it wasn't until that day that, way after, like, you know, months after, I felt really weird and didn't understand what was wrong with me until I felt my neck in the shower, of all things. And I was like, that feels a bit weird. And then I went and got it checked out. But I think I was extremely lucky, because the doctors kind of alluded that if I didn't discover it then, if I had waited only a few more months, it could have been a completely different outcome. And that's just terrifying, really. So yeah, I think by sharing the whole check your neck message is really, really good. And it's been a few years now. It's like been nearly 4 years coming up. It's crazy. But I think I've started to lose count how many messages I've had from people saying, I've checked my neck and I found this, what do I do? And I say, right, I'm no doctor, get to the GP. Or equally, people that haven't messaged me straight away and they've said, just want to say thank you. I checked my neck a few months ago, found the lump, went to the doctors, and luckily it's all fine. I've actually had one person message to say that they found the lump and that they were diagnosed with thyroid cancer as well, which was,
yeah, wow.
It's one of those. It's a horrible situation, but equally, I'm really grateful that he knew the message and was able to spot the signs and go to the doctors to get the early treatment. Because I think in all cancers, that's the key, is, early diagnosis, and everything's a lot more positive after that. So when you find stuff late is when it gets a bit more complicated.
Now, you've set yourself an ambitious £100,000 fundraising goal. How can people support you and help you reach that target?
Yeah, so it's all done through Just Giving. So I've done it it's the 100,000 is like for all the charities that I've supported so far. So with Cancer Research and Macmillan, they're the UK charities. And then I had to do the American Cancer Society just for my US marathons. So yeah, so they're all on Just Giving. If you just Google Matthew Jeffery, Just Giving, they all pop up there. There is a few different types at the moment. I'm in the process of getting one set up for Japan. So that'll be another one going up. The actual total cost for all of them, I think we're probably just short of 30,000 now, which is amazing, really.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So in the very beginning, when I was going through all the treatment and diagnosis, it absolutely took off. I think in my very first fundraising page for the Thyroid Cancer Trust and Cancer Research, we did like 10,000 in seemed a couple months. It was just mad. So yeah, so it's been really good so far.
Given everything that you've been through then, Matt, what advice would you give to anyone facing a life-changing diagnosis?
I think do what you need to do. Don't change for anyone. Do what you want to do. Deal with it how you want to deal with it. If that's go out and run all the world major marathons, crack on. If that's to sit in your room and shut the curtains and cry for a week straight, that's absolutely fine also. I think it's just try not to be too negative for too long. And one thing I've truly learned is that in every situation, yes, there can be negatives, but also in every single situation, there are positives. And sometimes it's really hard to find those positives. But I look back, nearly 4 years on now and think, God, cancer really rocked my life and it changed it massively. However, the opportunities that I've had coming off the back of that and how I now live my life in a far more, I feel, positive way, I don't think I'd change it, as crazy as that sounds. And I think that for me is kind of the message, is just try to find the positives in every negative situation and then just live your life the way you want to live it.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to question that, that's not anything to do with them, as it is up to you. So, yeah.
NewsWave.
Our thanks to Matt Jeffery for joining us and sharing his incredible story. Not long until Tokyo now. Let's delve into some of the support that's available now and hear from Leanne Thomas then at Macmillan Cancer Support.
NewsWave.
Cancer changes lives in so many ways, and Macmillan Cancer Support is there to help at every stage of the journey. From emotional and financial support to vital health information, Macmillan ensures that no one faces cancer alone. This World Cancer Day, we're joined by Leanne Thomas, the South West's Relationship Fundraising Manager for Macmillan Cancer Support, to hear more about their vital work and how we can all get involved. Can you just start by telling us a bit about Macmillan Cancer Support and the key ways you help people living with a diagnosis, please?
One of the things we recognise and pride ourselves on is, really recognising that every person's journey with cancer is so unique. So it's going to impact them differently, whether that be financially, emotionally, just day to day. And so because of that, their support needs are going to be different. So we've really, we work tirelessly to make sure that our support services match those needs. Which means that I like to think, and I hope that anyone listening who has been impacted by cancer and thinks maybe they could do with some support in an area, if they were to ring us or reach out to us, I'd like to think we've adapted accordingly and there would be something that we could offer them in terms of help.
Cancer can impact every aspect of life, can't it? Emotionally, physically, financially. What are some of the biggest challenges people face after a diagnosis? And how does Macmillan step in to then provide support?
That's a great question. Right from the word go, we are there for people when they receive their diagnosis. And actually, if we're going to go right from that second, a lot of people have said when they first hear those words, you have cancer, it's really hard to take in information after that. And as amazing as the professional they may be speaking to are, just trying to digest what they say afterwards is really, really hard. So we're there straight away for when people are ready to understand their diagnosis and talk through it. Or perhaps there was words they didn't understand, or they want to revisit the treatment plan. We're there for them we've got support centres that they could go to, or they could pop on our online forums and hear it from people that have gone through it themselves, or they could, call our support line and talk through it. And again, this is when you're ready. So for some people, that's immediately after when they get home. For others, it's days. And for some people, it's weeks or months. For some people, even it's years, because there's, such an after effect of having cancer that we recognise. So right from that moment, we are there. And to be honest, long before that as well, because one of the things we're really trying to spread awareness for right now is early signs of diagnosis. So we're really trying to promote people being more aware of the signs and symptoms of cancer as well, and try and get them to see a GP a lot sooner. one of the things actually we're really proud of right now that is relevant to Cornwall in particular is we've just invested 2.5 million in working with the farming community, because we have highlighted that there seems to be a pattern of late diagnosis in the farming community. We're not sure why. That's one of the things we're going to investigate. But yeah, we've funded for the farming. We're working with the Farming Community Network to really try and improve that and hopefully support them and save some lives in the process. And yeah, so we go beyond that. We have our support centres thereafter. We've got groups where you can be with peers who understand what you're going through. We've got physiotherapists. We've got, of course, our amazing Macmillan nurses on the ground. We've got our support line. We've got our online forums. The amount of support we offer is so vast. So again, I would encourage anyone who's been impacted, and that's not just the person that's received the diagnosis, that's their family, that's their loved ones, to check out our website and see what we've got available for them, or give us a call. And whoever's listening, if you want to get a pen and paper ready, I'll say that number in a few minutes to give you a chance to get that ready, and I'll say it again at the end as well.
Absolutely. You've done interviews before. Fundraising is obviously so crucial for Macmillan's work. Where do the donations go, and what impact do they have on those people affected by cancer?
So at the minute, there are just under 3.5 million people living with cancer across the UK. So that is actually almost 38 times the Wembley Stadium capacity, just to kind of put that into context. So we're working nationally, and we are obviously providing these services that reach people nationally, such as our support line. We've got lots of support centres that are up and running with Macmillan support workers and all kinds of therapies going on in them, based in hospitals or outreach buildings. We have things like cancer cafes popping up everywhere across the nation. We have community managers who are seeking the needs in communities, and we're trying to fill those gaps of support. So nationally, we're doing everything we can. And again, just to highlight those community managers, we're also working with specific communities. So in Cornwall, we've got, unfortunately, around 4,000 diagnoses of cancer a year. So, we're really trying to see what impact we can make in Cornwall too. One of the highlights and key support services we have, and we're so proud of them, is the Cove Macmillan Cancer Support Centre, and that's based in Trelisk in Truro. And I honestly can't speak highly enough of that team. You walk through that door and it's just so welcoming and so warm. And so anyone impacted by cancer in Cornwall or beyond is welcome through those doors. It's the Cove at Trelisk Hospital. And even if you just want to go in there, there's a cafe. You go in there and have a cup of tea or a coffee, read through the leaflets we have and just get a feel for the place. You are more than welcome to just do that. There's no pressure to book appointments. But if you see what you see is what you like, then you can speak to the staff. They're so friendly. Speak to the staff and they could explore the options for you. There's services available to you there. Again, there's physical therapies, there's counselling that you could possibly be referred for. There's all kinds of things. The cold water swimming group stems from the Cove. That's run by a team member. So if you fancy getting in the cold water, each to their own, not for me, but it might be for someone else. Then again, there's just lots of exciting things. I know one of the service users there, a wonderful guy, has just started a musical group there. So that's one of our key support services in Cornwall, and it's amazing. But we're doing other things too. Isles of Scilly, we recognise the isolation people there might face. So our community manager noticed that gap and worked tirelessly. They worked with the Cove, they worked with the health team on the Isles of Scilly, and we're really happy to say that a grant was approved and there will be a support hub being run there so that people seeking that personal face-to-face support on the island don't have to literally cross an ocean to get it. We brought it to them. So yeah, lots going on nationally, but also working really hard in the local community as well.
Amazing. One of the events, there's so many events throughout the calendar, but one I wanted to kind of highlight was the Mighty Hike series. Can you tell us any more about this and how people can get involved, please?
I'm so glad you brought that up. If you didn't, I was going to, because it is such a support favourite. We've got 12 hikes at the minute, and basically you could do, it's a huge hike, it's 26 miles, or you could do half a hike, which is around 12, 13 miles. And it's, if you want to support Macmillan and you want to support people living with cancer and you fancy a challenge, then the Mighty Hike is definitely something you want to look into. As I say, there's 12, but we do have one in Cornwall as well, which is Padstow all the way to Newquay. You can imagine how gorgeous the sites are. You've got this awesome atmosphere at the beginning with warm-ups and just being surrounded by people that have that one passion that you have too. It's just so inspiring. And then you do the hike, there's pit stops, people, you know, you've got support all the way, you've got Skittles being given out if you need it, water stops. You've got your halfway point, and then if you're doing the end, regardless of which finish line you've chosen, you'll have a glass of bubbly waiting for you, you'll have a medal waiting for you, a picture opportunity, and then some hot food as well, because you'll definitely probably be hungry. And I have actually volunteered at the finish line of the Mighty Hikes, and it is amazing. And actually it's really emotional because obviously everyone has their reasons for being there. And it was just an incredible privilege to get to hand out those medals. So I definitely recommend anyone wanting to support people living with cancer and to do their bit and who fancy a challenge to explore the Mighty Hikes on our website and see if it's their cup of tea.
Sounds fantastic.
Oh, actually, that is an excellent segue into, if that isn't your cup of tea, we've got world's biggest coffee morning, usually the end of September, but you can do that whenever. And that is, it's getting everyone together to join in on that one passion, and you serve cake and you serve tea. And again, you can find out more about how to host that and get a hosting pack on our website.
Yeah, that's a slightly different pace from the hikes.
Yes.
Aside from the Mighty Hikes, what other ways can people support Macmillan, whether that's through donations, volunteering, or other fundraising efforts?
Yeah, so whatever your availability or capacity, you can absolutely support Macmillan Cancer Support. There is something for everyone. If you want to help, there's something to help with. So as you've kindly already mentioned, we have some amazing Macmillan-led challenges like the Mighty Hikes, but there's also, if you're someone who wants a fitness challenge, there's also countless amounts of marathons and ultramarathons and Tough Mudders and all kinds of things that we will, again, advertise on our website if you go through the fundraising links. So there's lots of fitness challenges out there. Again, coffee morning is an excellent opportunity to get everyone together. Who doesn't like cake and coffee and tea? So a wonderful thing to host in your home or maybe your local village hall or in your offices at work. You get a pack with bunting and things you can really brand that day, so that's lovely. There's smaller things people could do like book sales and things. But if fundraising isn't your thing or you're just not able to, then simply helping us lobby with the government to try and implement changes. So on our website, again, there'll be links of how to do that. You can sign up to our newsletter and we'll keep you updated on what petitions we would really like people to sign so that we can get our voices heard even louder and really keep improving and pushing and being a driving force behind improving cancer care in the UK. People can be a part of that too, simply by signing petitions. So there really is an unlimited way to support us. And yeah, signing up to our newsletter will keep those ideas and ways at the forefront of their mind if they wish to.
Brilliant. With today being World Cancer Day, Macmillan is also raising awareness about the impact of cancer and the importance of getting support. I know we touched upon it slightly earlier, but just to sort of bring it back into focus, what key messages do you want to share with our listeners on a day like today?
The key messages, personally, to be honest, but I know on behalf of Macmillan too, is if you are worried about something, a sign or a symptom, then get it checked out. Like, you're not wasting anyone's time. go get it checked out. Your GP wants you to go get it checked out. Your family wants you to, if you were to mention it to them. No matter how small, go get it checked. And if you're not sure about that opinion, get a second opinion. Don't be tangible about your health. The earlier that cancer signs are detected, the better the prognosis and the sooner you can get on a treatment plan. I know it's scary, but you've got to get it checked out. So that is the prevailing message I would hope to leave with people. Again, signs and symptoms, I want to direct people to our website or a support line to talk it through if that's what you feel you want to do. Our online forum, you'll have lots of people already having had those symptoms that you don't even have to engage. You can just be a fly on the wall and read their conversation if you want. And then the second is that the support is out there. If you need support, do not hesitate to call us. Do not hesitate to email us. Do not hesitate to reach out to your local Macmillan Support Centre. We've got the cancer cafes. It's there. And whether that's because you want financial advice or whether that's because you want a professional healthcare professional, to talk you through your treatment again, because perhaps you didn't understand something, or perhaps you just want to talk about it. We have people ask 1,000,001 questions, and they vary greatly from how can they tell their children to how can they afford to work, not work now. And these are, probably the question you're wanting to ask has been asked before. We're there sitting, waiting with support about that question. They're the two leaving factors I'd like to leave. But the third would be, if you want to be the person to give that support, then there's a lot of ways to do that too.
You touched upon it greatly there. You transitioned into my next question. If someone is living with cancer or supporting a loved one through it, what's the best way for them to reach out and access Macmillan support? Again, I just want to reiterate, cancer impacts everyone. So not just the person that's received the diagnosis, but it's going to have this ripple effect on their immediate family, their friends, their colleagues, their work team, and beyond that. And so we are there for everyone impacted by cancer. So whether that's the person with the diagnosis or the loved ones around them. So any of those people can give us a call. You can use our website. There's an infinite amount of resources on there. You can call us if you've got that pen and paper ready on 0800 808 0000. So I'm just going to say that again. That's 0800 808 0000. So you can give us a call whenever you want to on that line. And if we can't support or help you, you'll certainly be signposted to someone that can. You can use our online forums where there's lots of people before you that will have asked questions, and there's conversations on there that you can read and engage with if you want to. And we have an online chat too. If you don't want to talk to someone face to face, but you do want that one-to-one interaction, then use our online chat too. So there's lots of ways. And of course, we've got our support centres all across the UK. So you could have a little research again on our website and see which one is local to you and pop in face to face. There'll be a welcoming face ready to greet you.
NEWSWAVE.
Our thanks to Leanne Thomas, the Southwest's Relationship Fundraising Manager for Macmillan Cancer Support. I just wanted to draw your attention to some more coverage around World Cancer Day here on Chaos, and an interview that Janice Rose did with the awe-inspiring Sandy B, a fundraiser for breast cancer now. You can catch that in full by heading on over to chaos.radio and clicking catch up. Right, I'm Tom Howe and you're listening to NEWSWAVE on Chaos Radio. Over to Cheryl Gordon now of Chaos Radio Breakfast Show fame to introduce our next guest, which forms part of our ongoing collaboration with NHS Cornwall and Isles of Scilly and their campaign to help you stay well this winter.
NEWSWAVE.
So, a new campaign from NHS Cornwall and Scilly in collaboration with local health and wellbeing partners is dedicated to helping you stay well this winter. Different community champions have come together to share tips and resources focused on boosting immunity, staying warm, prioritising mental health, eating well and keeping active. This week's champion is Debbie Peters, a bowel and cancer screening nurse at the Royal Cornwall Hospital, who is here to remind us about the importance of screening all kinds and how early detection can save lives. I'm delighted to say Debbie's here to join us now. Good morning, Debbie.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us and having a chat with us today about something that's incredibly important and something that our listeners can really get out of today. But to start with, can you tell our listeners a little about your role as a bowel cancer screening nurse and what the process is involved, please?
Yeah, so everybody aged from the age of 50 to 74 receive a poo kit test in the post, and then if this test comes back as positive, then they then get to speak to me or one of my colleagues, one of the bowel cancer screening nurses, and we'll do an assessment and then discuss having a further procedure to investigate why that test was positive, and we offer like a colonoscopy. Us as the bowel cancer screening nurses will support that patient through the colonoscopy, and we then look results up afterwards, and we'll then phone the patients with results afterwards.
So it's quite a detailed process, and knowing, I should imagine, for people that are going through that process, knowing that they've got your support or one of your team members' support there must be a really good thing to be able to do.
Yes, yeah, it's a very rewarding job, and screening is such an important thing to do. It saves lives, and early detection can prevent cancers developing. So it's such a rewarding job.
So for people that may be thinking today, okay, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go through this process, it's something that you do in the privacy of your own home to start with.
It is, yeah. It's a really easy test to do as well. It's posted to the patient's home. Everything that you need is in this kit. You basically collect a poo sample and then posted off, and the envelope is all prepaid, and it's just posted off. Usually get the results back within a couple of weeks, and you receive a letter. If it's a negative test, which means that no blood has been detected in that sample, then you'll then receive another poo kit test in 2 years' time. If blood has been detected, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have cancer. There's many things that can cause that blood to be there. So you'll then receive an invitation to have a chat with myself or one of my colleagues, and we'll then go through why that blood possibly could have been there, and we'll then discuss having a colonoscopy.
So this is available for those from the age of 50 to 74. Why only up to the age of 74 then?
From 74 onwards, people can still opt in to have the poo kit test if they want, but cancers are quite slow growing, so 74 is kind of like the cut-off age.
And it's such an important thing to know that you've got that resource sent to you. You go through the process, you've got that ongoing support throughout the process. And even if it comes back that you've got that positive test, it doesn't stop there, does it? It keeps going.
Yes, yeah. Like I said, every 2 years you will receive the poo kit test. So it is ongoing.
And it's all quite a normal thing. I mean, people that might be sort of listening to this and say, oh, I feel really uncomfortable and unsure about doing the test. What would you say to them today that will hopefully reassure them and give them that importance of it?
Doing the screening, it can detect any problems before you have any symptoms. So it could detect a polyp, which can be easily removed. And this can prevent having a cancer in the future. So it's preventative, but it also detects things before you know that you have any symptoms. If a cancer is found, it's usually at an early stage, and this is where treatment is far more effective and can be curative. So screening is such a good thing to do because it prevents things, including cancers as well.
Bowel cancer is the third most common cancer in the UK. So if someone, was a bit unsure about what was going on, how can they check without having a test to know that maybe what are some of the key symptoms that they should be aware of?
Yeah, so if you have any change in bowel habit, especially going to the toilet more often, having diarrhea for several weeks, any abdominal pain or lumps in your tummy or bleeding from your back passage, then those can be symptoms. And you should always seek medical advice, go to your GP with any of those symptoms.
And sometimes it may not be as bad as you anticipate it to be. So it's better to get something checked and get that sorted out as quickly as you possibly can. As well as having your support, and if someone gets an abnormal result or, what happens next? What kind of follow-up care is available? Obviously, you've got you. Have you got sort of any other sort of resources that's on offer for people? Is there like mental health support in the sense of is counselling available and that sort of therapeutic stuff?
There's lots of different groups and different services that we can put you in touch with. Lots of different support groups, which is so important. If you're going through, any problems, to have that support there from other people that are going through the same things, it can be such a help. So that there are lots of services that we are able to put you in contact with. Tell me, Debbie, what encouraged you to A, become a nurse, and B, get involved with the bowel cancer screening processes? I've been a nurse for 25 years now. It was just kind of like my natural thing that I wanted to do. And bowel cancer screening is such a thing that's so dear to my heart. My mum had bowel cancer, and if screening had been around back then, it would have prevented her from, or it certainly would have been picked up a lot sooner. It's something I'm so passionate about. It really does detect cancers early. It can detect polyps, which can easily be removed, which can stop cancers developing. So it's such a good thing to do. It's preventative and early detection. If cancer is detected earlier on, treatment is far more effective and it can be curative. Brilliant stuff. Debbie, this is so much useful information and so much reassurance that you're giving to our listeners. Before you go, what message would you like to share to our listeners about bowel screening awareness screening, not just for bowel cancer, but for all kinds? Yeah, so any screening invitations, take them up, do the screening. They are such a good thing to do. It can detect any problems early and it can prevent cancers. So just do the screening. It's they're there for a reason, and it's such a good thing to do. And I think also, which is important, we're very lucky to have in this country such a process to detect it. So
grab the moment, seize the day.
That's it. Yeah. As you say, we are extremely lucky to be offered these.
Lovely stuff, Debbie. It's been my absolute pleasure chatting to you today, and it's lovely to see how passionate you are about your job, and how people can get that support, and also knowing that it's so important to get these tests done today. So thank you so much for coming in and chatting to us today,
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll chat to you again soon.
Oh, thank you.
Our thanks to Debbie Peters, a bowel cancer screening nurse at the Royal Cornwall Hospital, for joining us here on Chaos Radio as part of the NHS and also Scilly Stay Well in Cornwall This Winter campaign. We'll share the interviews with different community champions each week throughout the campaign here on Chaos, with more information available by searching #StayWellCornwall on socials or by visiting our website chaos.radio.
NewsWave.
Okay, that's all we've got time for on this week's edition of NewsWave. A big Chaos Radio thank you to TV personality Julia Bradbury, as well as to Zoe Abbott's Chief Executive Officer at StreetVet, and from StreetVet, and to StreetVet volunteer Jane. Also to Matthew Jeffery and to Leanne Thomas for supporting our coverage of World Cancer Day with their incredible stories, as well as to Debbie Peters, a bowel cancer screening nurse at Royal Cornwall Hospital, for sharing with us the importance and benefits of screening. And as ever, a final thank you to you for listening and helping support local journalism to thrive. To catch up on all our coverage, as well as to check out our extensive back catalogue of interviews and shows, head on over to chaos.radio. And remember, if you have a local news story that you'd like to share with us, email news@chaos.radio or search Chaos Radio UK across socials. That's it, you're up to date here on Chaos. I'm Tom Howe. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.
NewsWave.
Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.